Miles Morales. I wonder if I was Kevin Feige, how would you welcome Miles Morales to the MCU? Whoa, what's good with your YouTube and YouTube busted? Your boy Triple Cup Chuck and I'm up. Okay, got it together. Man was good with it. Wanted to speak first before I get this thing started. Because we have a whole backlog of spider stuff. You know how you go inside the attic or the ceiling or the basement, and in the corners you have all these spider webs that's been built up? That's what we have to go through diving in. So let's go ahead and get the backlog started, and then we're gonna talk about Miles Morales. How can he be introduced inside of the MCU? Man, this is gonna be ridiculous. Hey, one last thing, I need to get this off my chest. For all these Twitter babies and everybody get mad about Miles Morales being a person of color and he's mixed with what is Latino and black, to me it don't really even matter. To me, it's the storyline. He is not the Peter Parker Spider-Man. Is somebody different. Stop saying that he running on his everybody tells. I'm tired of that, but I have a special treat for everybody that feel this way, that been talking all this noise. I have something for y'all. Special deliver something that I made. Enjoy yourself.
That's some of the most racist shit I ever heard in my goddamn life. Why are you mad at me? I'm Spider-Man. You are not Spider-Man. I am Spider-Man. You can't tell me who I am. I am Spider-Man. Nigger. Oh, can't get mad. No, because I'm Spider-Man. I'm the new Spider-Man. Your old school ass is over with. This is a new day and era. Spider-Man is black. No, Spider-Man, you is not But I'm good over this shit. Spider-Man black.
Yeah, hopefully my little short video caught your attention. Hey, what's that word? What they call that? I think shock factor. Oh, okay. That shit wasn't funny. Okay, with that out the way, let's start off where we left off at. And we left off at was Spider-Man 2, Far From Home. Okay, at the end of Spider-Man 2, J. Jonah Jefferson exposed Peter Parker as Spider-Man from the information that he got from and the footage that he received from Mysterio. So that's what Spider-Man 3 gonna have to pick up from after the snap or the blip or whichever term they would like to use. I'm guessing they might be trying to figure out what they could actually use for legal terms. You know how it goes with the. Now we gotta fast forward to the future. Quick rundown so you can catch up what's going on in present date. Okay, mostly leaks and rumors, but still information. Alright, first was Spider-Man 3 was supposed to introduce Kraven to hunt him, and he was supposed to hunt Spider-Man down. Next, you have they were supposed to bust the multiverse wide open with Spider-Man being jammed right in between WandaVision and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which rumored Tom Holland being able to cross over into the Venom verse with Doctor Strange's help. You know exactly what it was. Sony was too close to the MCU, Marvel's Disney Studio, not to see the bread and its butter being put together with this multiverse and its connected tissue in each and every movie, that they wouldn't want a piece of this. In layman terms, Sony just want to have a shared universe, aka Spider-Verse. Then it happened, one of the biggest nerdgasms in history. The rumor that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire is coming back as Spider-Man in Spider-Man. Right, mind blown. I had to give you a second to let you know exactly how long this lasted. Matter of fact, it's still going on right now. But the only thing that's different is now it was saying that Tobey Maguire didn't want to play Spider-Man and come back for Spider-Man 3. And people like, why he didn't want to come back, this and this and that. Now to come to find out, just simply, it wasn't about the money. He just wanted more screen time. Yes. That means he wanted a better movie, and he wanted to actually play a real part instead of just a cameo. So for me, that was a plus on top of plus. That's triple up plus. And we can't forget about the Daredevil and the She-Hulk situation of which one's supposed to be Peter Parker's lawyer. Now that should catch you up what's going on in Sony's Spider-Verse. Now let's get into how the MCU can introduce Miles Morales. Okay, yeah, it's time to go diving into Miles Morales and how he could be introduced into the MCU. Actually, by Danny Glover's special appearance, he's already introduced inside of the MCU. In Spider-Man Homecoming, Peter Parker was trying to get some information out of Danny Glover when he came in with the kill voice, that part. When Spider-Man infamously shot Danny Glover's hand on the back of a trunk of a car. But for the actual character Miles Morales himself, how would I introduce him inside of the MCU? First thing, it would be through his pops, and his pops would be the police officer that arrested Spider-Man. And Miles Morales, like a normal child, rebel against his parents. He's a big Spider-Man fan. Wear Spider-Man shirt out in public, and Spider-Man is banned because of Spider-Man is supposed to be a vigilante that killed Mysterio, that's supposed to be a hero. So by Miles Morales walking around with a Spider-Man t-shirt on with the hoodie on, you know they're going to kind of pair it to what's going on in day-to-day life situations. But I think they're going to introduce Miles Morales that way, and the police going to rough him up. And his daddy being a police officer, by his daddy being a police officer, they arrest versus Spider-Man, and Miles Morales ultimately being a person that helps Spider-Man get off the case by testifying for Spider-Man. But I think his character actually going to be introduced first. Like, Miles Morales at his house listening to some music, dancing, good-spirited person. And him and his daddy is beefing because he a Spider-Man fan on the cool. You know how kids want to be with the rebels. And I'm guessing Spider-Man is going to be the rebel of whatever thing that they have going on because of his record of him being a murderer, and then they're gonna build it up with this next Venom movie and Marvelous movie. People don't think about it. The MCU is not just the MCU Marvel movies. You got the Sony movies too, where you have the Venom verse, where they're gonna spin off into the Spider Verse in the near future, and that's why I think that we're gonna get a lot more tidbits inside of the Morpheus movie and the Venom movie as well. So when they introduce Miles Morales inside of the MCU, it's gonna be kind of established with Miles Morales' dad arresting Peter Parker. So now when you see Miles Morales coming and he wearing a Spider-Man t-shirt and he getting arrested, and that's gonna be his first introduction. And I think it's gonna be the fact of when they gonna have Andrew Garfield and they're gonna have Tobey Maguire. I'm thinking that this Peter Parker from one of those Peter Parkers is gonna have his final send off and die, and that's when you're gonna get Miles Morales to take up the mantle. And what I mean by just take up the mantle is Sony, right? We finna get into the diving and what you think about Sony, right? Fast. Sony is about this money, and one thing they could do is Peter Parker is established inside of the MCU, making movies inside of the MCU. Sony want to have their own universe. Now, the best way they could do it is without messing up continuity is because of Venom and Morbius is kind of offset inside of their own universe because Venom didn't get the symbiote suit from Spider-Man, and it's a whole different universe. So what I would think would be the best way of doing this is when they bust the multiverse open to have Miles Morales become the Sony Spider-Man for the Spider-Verse, and they let Peter Parker, that we already have Tom Holland, be a part of the MCU, and they don't have the most spin-off Spider-Man movies, but you have this Spider-Man appearing in other different Avengers movie or any other MCU movies. But when it comes to the next Spider-Man actual movie after the Spider-Man 3, I think it's gonna be Miles Morales Spider-Man movie that's gonna be done by Sony, and they're gonna use the MCU format to actually push out the Miles Morales Spider-Man. So I'm thinking that he gonna play a bigger role inside of Spider-Man 3 because Sony want to use Miles Morales to push their Spider-Verse forward because of they want to have where they can have their own universe and do whatever they want to do without being restricted to these guidelines what's inside of Kevin Feige's plan of the big ultimate snap universe that they have. And you might have a character now and don't have a character later. You might have access to a character then don't have access to a character. And another list of characters that Kevin Feige do not care for is the TV universe characters. The only ones that I was hearing that might come back is Quake, or maybe a couple other ones, but they actually had some jewels that was inside of the TV verse, but because of some politics shit that they got going on behind the scenes, tit for tat and being petty, that we the ones that's getting the debris. But I would like to see if Sony could get some of those characters like Luke Cage, Daredevil, Punisher, and let them put out the more violent Marvel movies that y'all don't want to put y'all hands on. And then on top of that, they give these characters that everybody love the opportunity to see. Hold up, Triple Cup. I know you're going on a rant on your wish list about the MCU, but we got to get back on topic with this Miles Morales. Okay, you're right. Well, look, so ultimately, I think that Miles Morales is going to be introduced inside of Spider-Man 3 as the star witness to free Peter Parker from Mysterio, because he's going to be the one to bring in Mysterio to the courtroom to help free Peter Parker. That's my introduction to Miles Morales inside of the MCU, and then his exit out because I think he's gonna be the lead to the Spider-Verse. But anyway, this your boy Triple Cup Chuck, and I'm out. And remember, I don't do this for me, I do this for we. So like, share, subscribe, man. If you into the Spider-Verse and you like this type of stuff, man, hit that like button, man. Fuck with your boy.